peach cobbler muffin. Hot coffee. Good morning, guys. Well, it's another beautiful morning here in the campgrounds at Lakemont, Georgia, and heading over to the event area, the staging area, and actually Hudson's already over there, and he's so excited that he can't help himself. So we're gonna head on over there this morning and see what's going on. Let's go. Good morning.
Good morning, Ian. We're at Kephart Day, Smoky Mountain Rendezvous.
Yeah, it's our second day.
It seems like we've been here a week. Yeah, this is our first really official day.
First official day. Okay, all right. Yeah. So yeah, how's it been going so far?
I think it's been going great. Vendors are set up. We've got the classic campers that are all set up. Our special guests are here: Preston Roberts, Alan Kay, Todd Walker's here.
So tell us the highlighted speakers and
I would say Preston Roberts from Mountain Man on Discovery Channel. Alan Kay is season 1 from Alone. Justin, and I'm going to mess up your last name, Justin, sorry. So Justin from season 2 of Alone, so I didn't say it so I didn't have to mess it up. Todd Walker is an axe expert, and you'll be able to see, we will both film some of his axe work today.
Okay.
A lot of bushcraft people. George Bushcraft's here, Georgia Jeepers are coming in. A lot of demonstrations will take place here today in Lakemont, Georgia.
Awesome. And it's a beautiful location, isn't it?
It's a beautiful day. It's a hot day, and I'm wearing black.
Horace Kephart, he was my great-grandfather. They had 6 children. My grandfather was their 5th child, George Kephart. I was raised with the story. My grandfather took us camping and hiking and made sure that we understood what his father did. And today we're celebrating Horace Kephart. And when we celebrate Horace Kephart, we're celebrating all of us. And I thank you very, very much for being here.
Guys, welcome Preston Roberts from the Mountains of Mountain Men. And this guy does a lot more. You know, so many of us, it's a very veneer thing. You know, we see someone on television and, you know, we get, you get goo-goo gaga eyes about it. But this beyond television, the important thing, they are passing on to the next generation, my generation, and the coming up generation, which is the most important thing, to share these skills. So let's give Mr. Preston Roberts a big hand clap. Whatever you've got on your heart, go ahead.
I like those traditions, you know. It's important to me that we hang on to those, and I worry about our young people nowadays, and are they really maintaining that?
All right, hey guys, I am here with Sabrina, and actually here at Kephart Days, and you actually got up and just had a little speech there, talked about some of your, I guess, claim to fame.
Yep, my 15 minutes.
Right, and so tell everybody a little bit about who you are and kind of some of your experiences.
Well, I'm Sabrina Mergenthaler. I was season 2, season finale, Naked and Afraid, the one who ate the Barrett head. I know, everybody seems to think that's the worst thing in the world to do, but when you're hungry, you're hungry.
Right.
Let's see, I made it 20 days.
What was the biggest takeaway that you came back from that experience?
You know, it's hard to say if there's a biggest lesson learned from any of that. I think above all is what you get is a little bit more self-awareness. You begin to learn a little bit more about what you're capable of, what you're willing to accept. And, you know, when you're out there surviving with somebody else who you've never met before, you have to learn to tolerate other people and how they do. And that's probably some of the hardest stuff in everyday life, is that we have to live with each other, and you might not always like who you're living around.
Right.
So we all come to the table with something different.
Have you learned anything here?
Oh yeah, you know, I think we're doing competitions over there for fire starting, you know, who can get it done the fastest. One of the things I love is everybody coming to the table with new techniques, because, you know, what it comes down to above all is the more you know, the better chances you have of surviving wherever you are.
Yeah.
9 years old, this is the new generation. This is what this place is about. This is what this whole thing is about. Again, I'm covered up with goosebumps. He says, hey, somebody said there was going to be a trade blanket here. I brought some items to trade. We made a good trade, and I appreciate the trade. He got his first bushcraft and survival knife and backpack setup. So I want to say a big congratulations to Hudson. Everybody give him a round of applause. So phenomenal to have it. This is what this is about.
I'm an 8th grade teacher, math teacher in Newton County, and I do that for a living, but every planning period during my day, if I don't have something going on in the building, I'm in the woods out back doing something with an axe or doing something with some fire or something just to get outside. Now you little guys out here that you made this trade with, get off those tablets and computers and all that good stuff. And get out in the woods. Get out and experience nature, okay? Absolutely. That's my encouragement to you.
All right, hey guys, I'm here with Todd Walker, and he just did a demonstration chopping that big log in two.
Yeah.
And so Todd, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you're all about.
Well, I was raised in the country down in middle Georgia, and I don't know, I went to the woods when I was real young and never came out, really. I mean, I'm there as much as I can, so I don't know, I just enjoy the woods life and getting out and practicing my skills of self-reliance and that kind of thing. So,
what would you say is the biggest thing you were trying to convey to people?
The way you learn how to handle an axe safely is to actually use it under some good supervision at first, maybe, and but then the utility of that tool. Kephart himself said, you know, that was like the #1 tool that he would take to the woods.
The whole material culture of survivalism is, you know, axes and knives and fire making and all that, and we were really good at that, and that came in handy, but what we weren't prepared for was the starvation. We didn't eat, and it was very cold. We were trapped, we were pinned down with storms, and that was very difficult, and I don't think anybody's ever ready, fully prepared to starve, and we didn't eat at all in about 40 degree to 30 degree weather for 7 days. That was because it was raining and snowing so much that we could not get out.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Not yet.
I figured that we would have like a rabbit or a caribou or something like that, and that's just not working out. So it's absolutely changing our plan.
I haven't eaten a lot, and in another day or two, if we don't have any more food, then that flare gun is really going to start looking good.
Well, I am here with Justin, and here at Kephart Days, and Justin's actually just got up there and shared with Alan about their experience with the Alone television program. You were on a television show where you actually kind of like had to vlog your life.
Yeah.
And how was that experience on top of the whole trying to survive?
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. No, so I tell people a lot that was probably one of the hardest parts, not the hardest part, was filming everything. And it's not easy. It makes you think of TV and movies and everything else in an entirely different way when you're actually behind the camera and you're looking at different camera angles and you're thinking about lighting and you're thinking about all this other stuff on top of just doing what you need to stay alive. So it makes everything a lot more difficult to have to do that.
You mentioned an event that happened during the filming of your show that really kind of touched you, in a big way. Just briefly share what that was all about and how that came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a veteran. I spent a little over 15 years in the Army, and when I got out, I started noticing that a lot of my friends were having trouble transitioning into civilian life. What I didn't realize at the time was there was also a huge epidemic of veteran suicides that was starting up and had been going on for a while. So when the opportunity for the show came up, I knew that I had to do something to raise awareness for what's going on, in the veteran community. Today is all about doing something for the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. So I'm going to climb this damn mountain. It's not day one.
It's day 22. So I'm already, wore out. Yeah! I don't get too excited about much, but this is pretty awesome. And on day 22, this is beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. And so any of you guys out there that are struggling to make that climb, you know what I mean? You can do it. You can.
I am here with Alan Kay, and Alan, this is your first Horace Kephart days. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So, Alan, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started with this bushcrafting and survival skills.
I pretty much spent most of my youth in the woods. It was the only place where I felt like I really belonged at. Even as a young boy, I was aware that our culture was out of balance and that the way that we live in the modern world had, on the human timeline, only really been done for a relatively short amount of time. And so I began to question, how did we live up until this point? What enabled people to survive that we could be here now before we had all of this stuff? And so I went about hanging around with elders, from different communities and trying to learn as much as I could about all of the old skills, fire by friction, cordage, how to weave baskets, make shelters, how to use plants for food and medicine. I've heard of Horace Kephart and hadn't really, gotten into any of his work. And a friend of mine, Tom Davis, good friend, and he's into bushcraft and survival and all that kind of stuff, has his book, Camping and Woodcraft, I think is the title of it. And so I kind of thumbed through it, and just in speed reading it, a couple of the excerpts that I read, it grabbed me immediately. I was like, this was written by a man that has spent a lot of time outdoors. But you could just tell the experiential frame of reference that he had. It really came through in his words. One thing that comes to mind is when he talked about bedding, and the importance of a good night's sleep and all the nuances around making a browse bed and putting good energy into your camp and taking the time to do it correctly. I'm like, that's a guy that spent some miserable nights out there, the same as I have, to learn these things. Very few people could have written the things that he has written, and it's something that's going to be passed down through the ages. It's impacted my life, and I think it'll continue to impact people for generations to come. It'll be a staple of literacy.
So let me ask you, you've learned all these skills, and I understand that these skills have led you to some interesting adventures.
Yeah, my interest in just basic living skills taken me to some pretty strange places and unique experiences. I've always sought out, wherever I go, I've sought out indigenous people and tried to learn from them as much as I can. And a couple years back, I was approached by a casting company to participate in a show called Alone.
We have to film it, and we're totally alone.
Nobody knows what it's like here, except for the 10 guys out here doing it.
How do we get shelter?
There's nobody here but me.
It's so hard doing this alone. I'm scared to death right now.
I feel like I'm starving.
Pretty sure I just saw a cougar.
Oh.
Last man standing wins $500,000.
I don't want to go home. I want to win.
This is a chance in a lifetime, but it's not worth dying over.
It was an ultimate test for me because I'd never been there. I didn't know any of their plants or any of their animals' habits, so I didn't have a frame of reference for it. That's a true test. I mean, if you drop me in the mountains where I'm really intimate with things, that's not really a test because I know how to live here. But to go there and apply just the general principles, not necessarily the individual techniques, but the principles of shelter, the things that Horace Kephart talk about, the insulation and the importance of layers and dead air space and all that kind of thing.
We got dropped out of helicopters and boats and float planes, and a Pelican case full of camera gear, and they said, best of luck to you.
So, this is home. We are here. This is crazy. I'm a complete lunatic.
It seems like just yesterday, you know? Just getting here, getting started.
I'm getting pretty dried out to the point I stopped filming with the other camera, and that's what's frustrating. These cameras, that's a whole facet of this that I didn't realize how hard it would be to do all this and try to film it. Go to British Columbia, they said. It'll be fun. Oh, it's beautiful there. Abundance resources. The psychological isolation ultimately is, I think, what got a lot of people. Because, I mean, we are social creatures, and we're not designed to be by ourselves for extended periods of time. Although, you know, historically people have done that, but usually that's the exception and not the rule. Ultimately, you do come back to society, but there's a lot of lessons, I think, in being isolated in nature. They say Kephart spent a lot of time by himself, you know, and there's that time for deep introspection and to boil things down to their essence, I think, is really what enabled him to write what he wrote the way he wrote it. You know, is that time spent by himself. He really could soul search things and get down to the heart of the matter.
Right. I tell you, about day 40, psychological aspects started kicking in on this more than they have been. By then, you've done everything enough, and you're into that loop that everything slows way, way down. Crawling and that last gasping breath as you're expending that last bit of energy. You know, you just wonder, well, how long do I want to do this? What is enough for me? What is my finish line out here? What am I looking for? Have I found it? Have I done what I came out here to do? My goal was to come out here and not die. So I did that. I just feel totally separated from time. Just like it's an ever-present moment. No past, no future, just now. When you come and you stand alone, it's all very real. And I still honestly don't know how long I have in me here. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. I'm not trying to do this to say, hey, look, I'm the baddest man in the world. Because I'm not. I'm just a guy. Really nothing special about me. I'm just your regular guy.
I was there 56 days, at which point they came and told me that I was the last one. And so then I left that day.
So, Alan, I need to tell you something. You've outlasted everybody.
Are you for real? This is it? So soon? Gosh, I was working on a spring garden. I was thinking, if I'm still here in the spring, this is gonna be difficult. Wow. Man.
What do you think?
I don't know what to think, man. That's just something else. Already. Huh. All right, let's burn this place down. I know you got a lighter in your pocket. All the things that we make so much drama about don't mean a hill of beans. Because we're all just passing through for a short time. And the stuff that we have all this anxiety and drama about and argue over means nothing. In the end, it only comes down to love. That's really the only legacy you've got, I think, that lasts The love you show your children, the love you show your friends, that carries on, that ripples throughout eternity. The rest of it's just rubbish.